So here we are at number 3. So in number 3, it looks like we're going to have to combine two equations together after we manipulate them. So remember, it's just kind of like Hess's law. You have to look at your top equations and see what you have to do to them in order to add them together to get the bottom equation. So it looks to me like I've got a solid sulfur where I want it, but then it looks to me like I've got two SO3s on the left and I only want one SO3 on the right. So we're going to leave the top equation exactly as it is and it'll all work out, but we're going to have to take this middle equation here and we're going to have to modify it. We're going to have to flip it so that the SO3 is on the right, and then we're going to have to cut it in half. So by flipping it and cutting it in half, we're going to end up with SO2 and then half an oxygen on the left-hand side. So that has been flipped and cut in half. And then that's going to give me an SO3 over on the right-hand side. So that has now been flipped and cut in half in order to give me what I want. Now, check out what happens. I want the SO3 and only one of them on the right, and now I have it here. I can also look at the SO2 that's here on the left and know that there's an SO2 on the right, so they cancel each other out. And then I've got one oxygen here and a half an oxygen here. That's 1.5 oxygens, or 3/2 oxygens, which is what I have here. So my top equation up top here in pink, I left as it is, but my red equation here, I had to flip it and cut it in half. So by flipping it and cutting it in half, remember, you have to do that over here. So flipping it and cutting it in half means I have to take it to the -1 by flipping it, and then I have to square root it, so it's really to the -1/2 by doing that. So by taking my 0.075 and raising it to the -1/2 power, 0.075 raised to the -0.5 power gets me 3.65. So this one here is now, instead of 0.075, this is now 3.65 here. So now what happens when I add these two together to get the bottom one down here? Well, in other aspects of chemistry, when you add equations together, you simply add their values. But based upon our discussion that we talked about in the lecture notes, because of the particular rules of equilibrium, you do not add their K values together, you multiply them together. So it's going to be the 48.2 and then the 365 multiplied together. So it looks like it's going to be about 176 as your answer here. So by multiplying those two guys together, you end up with 176 as your answer.